Okay. Second part of the video, I didn't want to make you watch a 9-minute video, so I tried to split it up. As far as thickness on the actual gi, probably the best place to look is maybe down here at the bottom. You can see that if we hold them up together, I don't know if you can tell, but the Saikai is actually a little bit thicker than the Super Ratio, which is fine. Super Ratio is supposed to be super light. The weave on the Super Ratio, I'll see if I can get down there real close so you can see it. It is very light. We have a couple guys at our gym that have them, and they love them. They swear by them. They're not as hot as the Saikai, obviously, because they are a super light. Saikai weave is, it doesn't say on there. It's a little bit thicker. You can see it's got a little bit, it's not as tight of a weave, but it is quite nice for the sake of, if you wonder what the wear and tear is, here is my older Saikai. So you can kind of look at how it's held up. So this is about 2 years worth. You can see I'm losing a little bit of a stitch there, but that's about it. You can see in the sleeves, I'm not losing really anything in there. No rips on it. It stayed fairly white. One of the questions when I bought it that was online is, what about that map that's kind of rubbery? Mine is held up quite well. It's not like I look at it all the time. So, and then as far as the tatame, it is probably the same thickness as the Saikai. A little bit different weave, but for the most part, it's kind of the same idea. You look in here at the armpits. They are reinforced, which is you get a lot of pulling on those armpits. A little bit different reinforcement for the Saikai. There you go. You can see it's got this reinforcement at the midline of the jacket, which is where they sewed the pieces together. The Eshbaugh doesn't have quite as thick of a reinforcement on it. Go over here to the Saikai. You've got, the Super Ratio, same kind of reinforcement. And the jacket sewn together at that same spot where you got your two pieces. Less of a seam on the Super Ratio. Some of that's because it doesn't have the contrast stitching, where on the Saikai you do have the contrast stitching. As far as the way the gis feel, the Saikai and the Super Ratio, they are much softer cotton. My friend John, whenever I roll with him, I'm always impressed with how soft the gi is, even right out of the wash. I've only washed this one several times, but if you want to hear kind of the fabric, so you can grip it some, move it around. The collar is fairly stiff, not as stiff as the Eshbaugh. The collar on this one is pretty loose. Some people like that. My old one, the collar is probably about as soft as the Super Ratio out of the bag. The tatame, it is got a much thicker, harder to manipulate collar. Also, the fabric is much rougher. It is not as soft as the Fuji fabric. Maybe that'll get better as I roll with it, but it is definitely a little bit stiffer. As far as cut goes, the only big difference I have noticed is that through the armpits on the tatame, it is much trimmer down through here. So I feel like I have less room in my armpits with this one, which might be a good thing. I think I'm just getting used to it. I think it leaves less fabric to grab, but it's also a little bit annoying to start with. If you look at the two of them and I lay them out, I feel like you can tell that there's a little bit more fabric down in the back with the Saikai, which is fine. Just depends on what you like. I could be imagining that. I believe there's a Y cut to the Eshbaugh that they talk about, which is kind of one of their innovations. You can see that they have a different kind of lining here, the way theirs is cut, as opposed to the Saikai. You throw the Super Ratio in there. kind of the same idea. It is cut almost exactly like the Saikai. I think the big thing is just a little less material, but you can tell the cut's the same. The inside, just about the same. I will post some pictures with the gi, with me wearing it with my arms crossed, so you can kind of see the shrinkage and everything. So there you go.